Hello and welcome. I am Jessica Bibza, and I am really happy to be hopefully welcoming you back to our panhandlemanatee.org community outreach project. This video is intended for folks who participated last year and are already familiar with our program, probably volunteered a couple of times to provide some updated information as well as a refresher. So I am going to jump right in and to kick things off, just to remind everybody that the whole reason that we're doing this project is to increase awareness and protection of manatees and their habitat, seagrass, throughout the Pensacola and Perdido Bays areas, doing targeted outreach. You may recall that last year we spent a lot of time focusing on boat ramps as well as marinas. Our ideas, our intentions for 2022 is to really expand those efforts to other target areas, including fishing piers, visitor centers, communities, coastal communities, rental properties, water-related businesses, and so forth. So I'm going to be touching on how we are doing that sort of outreach or in this presentation. Again, just as a reminder, we've got a number of different targeted sites throughout the two estuary area, going from Alabama in the west to Navarre in the east, and from the beaches to the south all the way up into the rivers to the north. And I will be sharing a link to, as a refresher, if you want to go to really see where all of those sites are. Also, reminder that the project we're conducting it during the warmer months of the year when manatees are present in the area. As we did last year, we are planning on continuing to do the boater outreach on weekends, starting in the morning, going to about midday. But we're also wanting to do angler outreach on Sunday mornings, and then outreach to water-related businesses, coastal communities, and so forth, 1 or 2 days a week as well. Everyone should be familiar with how we conducted the outreach to the boaters, doing the one-on-one interactions at ramps. Similarly, our ideas for doing outreach to the anglers are doing one-on-one interactions, talking with folks like we did at the ramps, but talking to them at the fishing piers. Also going out and speaking directly with water-related businesses, property managers, and so forth, asking them to help spread the word to their customers and clients, tour boat operators, and so forth as well. But then we're also going to be dropping off materials at condos and with property managers and visitor centers and such, again, to hopefully broaden the spread of information that we share. We're going to be using many of the materials and messages that you were familiar with last year, but we also have a couple of new materials this year, including a slightly revamped brochure, as well as doing some stickers for reporting the sightings. Otherwise, the boaters kits are going to look rather familiar to what we had last year, with the polarized sunglasses, the magnets. We're going to be adding koozies as well to the kits. So the talking points, what you're going to be speaking to the public about for boaters and water-related businesses. Again, we're going to continue to focus on the seagrass safe messaging about going slow where seagrasses grow. But for all of the audiences, we're again going to be including the boaters, water-related businesses, as well as all those other targeting groups, asking them to report manatee sightings using the panhandlemanatee.org URL. Also, sharing general information, reminding them not to give manatees food or fresh water, asking them to keep the bay clean, especially when we're hanging out and talking to folks at the fishing piers with the anglers, asking them to be sure to recycle their fishing line. A lot of the fishing piers actually have monofilament recycling bins or tubes right on those sites. Also, reminding them of good ways to help seagrass is by minimizing the use of fertilizer and pet waste and pesticides and so forth that can enter the waterways. Again, this is just a refresher on how the panhandlemanatee.org works. When folks go to panhandlemanatee.org, it actually redirects them to a page on the estuary program's website where they can report, click on reporting a manatee sighting, and that redirects them to a page on the Dauphin Island Sea Lab website for their manatee sighting network, and folks can enter the information, their name, the information about when and where they saw manatees. If there are ever questions about getting the location, if they are land-based, it's very easy to enter an address or the name of a site or a boat ramp. But if they are out on a boat, then they can open up their Google Maps, drop a pin at their appropriate location, and then the coordinates, latitude and longitude, will pop up on their Google map. Obviously, if they have Loran or some sort of GPS on their boat, they can use that as well. Just a couple of refreshers on FAQs that I wanted to go over, some of the kind of the things that come up more often. Want to make sure that everyone is prepared and able to respond to things they might be hearing from folks over at the boat ramps. Reminding you, if someone ever mentions, oh yeah, I saw a manatee at one point, tell them that if they remember, if they know exactly when and where they saw the manatee, they can by all means go to panhandlemanatee.org and enter it after the fact. You know, if they have a photo or video or something on their phone that has a date and time stamp and they know exactly where they were, and they can get an address or coordinates, then absolutely we would love them to enter that information in the panhandlemanatee.org process and in the sighting network. If they are concerned about having slow speed zones, just remind them that reporting manatees will not result in slow speed zones, and with more information, manatees and boaters can actually coexist safely. That it is watercraft deaths of manatees that are killed by boats, not manatees themselves, but dead manatees that are killed by boats is what leads to slow speed zones. So with more information on manatees, we can better target our outreach to boaters, asking them to operate with care, less likely to have manatee collisions, and less likely to have zones in the future. Also reminding you that folks, sometimes they get excited about the polarized sunglasses. If they ask for an extra pair, we are gently letting them know that we do want to reach as many folks as possible. And so only giving out one pair of sunglasses per kit, per vessel, but encourage them to go to a local retailer and purchase additional pairs. I actually was at the Dollar Tree over on Crichton a couple weeks ago, and they had polarized sunglasses in there for $1.25. Don't know how good they were, but they were polarized sunglasses and probably would make it easier to see the seagrasses and manatees through the water. Last year, we had said that we were not accepting donations if people offered to make one. Just really want to, that we're going to take a slightly different approach this year. Again, if you approach them with a boater's kit and they say, oh no, I don't have any money, I can't make a donation. Again, we don't want them to make a donation. We're not asking for donations. The best way that they can help out is by reporting manatees. However, if they are really, insistent on making a donation, they're really excited about work that they're doing, then just thank them for their generous offer and direct them to see whoever the site captain is, usually one of the interns. And again, if they are interested in doing more and helping out, we're going to have QR codes at the sites when we're out talking to the public. So that way they can just scan the code and get more information. Again, if they offer, whether you're talking to someone who rents kayaks and stand-up paddleboards or an angler at a fishing pier, we're going to have that QR code, and it will take them right to the site where they can volunteer. So here's a QR code to get involved. We'll also have a QR code to schedule a shift. Also, we'll have a QR code to take them directly to the panhandlemanatee.org website if they would like to scan that as well. I did want to take just a moment to touch on the manatee mortality event that is going on along the east coast of Florida, because a lot of folks have heard things in the news, and maybe there's some confusion, especially when we're asking people not to feed the manatees in Northwest Florida, and they're hearing on the news about state and federal agencies who are actually feeding the manatees. So just as a primer, sorry, I did not update this number. I said over 800 manatees have died. It was actually last year, it was 1,100. This year, there are probably already, I can't remember the latest number that I heard, but several hundred manatees have died so far this winter. What's going on in the East Coast is not the situation that's going on in Northwest Florida. In the area of Brevard County and the Kennedy Space Center, the entire ecosystem is in trouble. They've had a massive seagrass die off because of poor water quality and too much algae in the water. And as a result, there's nothing for the manatees to eat. So state and feds are doing a very controlled feeding on experimental basis. But again, that's a very specific situation and not something for the general public to do. So again, just some information on that mortality event. In any given year, maybe 400 to 600 manatees die, but a couple years there have been higher mortality when there's been red tide or cold stress or a combination of those factors. But last year there were over 1,100 manatees that died. About 3/4 of those were over on the Atlantic coast. Again, the manatee mortality event that's going on is not impacting Northwest Florida. And again, this map just shows you where that event was focused over on the Florida Space Coast. Again, what happened? Too many nutrients led to algae blooms, led to a seagrass die-off, and ultimately manatees didn't have anything to eat. I was trying to keep this really short. I said it was going to be about 15 minutes. So just if there are other questions that you all have, or you think that you want to be prepared to answer if the question comes, just want to remind you that there is an FAQ document. I'm going to post the link to that in this video, and it will also have it in the description for YouTube. And as always, you can send any questions you have to panhandlemanatee.org@gmail.com. So reminder, next steps, just ensure that we still have all of your correct information. We asked you to indicate what sort of outreach you were interested in conducting. Last year, we really focused on boaters, but we're going to be doing a lot of other groups this year. We also have a new system in place for signing up for volunteer shifts rather than using the Excel form. So if you go to signup.com, and again, I'll be posting this link in the description of the YouTube video, so you don't have to rush to jot that down now, but I will have it on the next couple screens too. And you can sign up for your shift. So right now, the outreach shift locations, it might say TBD for a couple weeks in advance. You know, we've only planned a couple of several weeks out in advance. So if you're looking to sign up for a shift if this is April and you're looking to sign up for a shift in July, the site location will probably be a TBD right now. And if you have not already liked us, following us on social media, please do that at Panhandle Manatee. And we're definitely looking for more volunteers. We had some folks return. We have some new volunteers, but we definitely need more. So please, anything you can do to help recruit friends or other volunteers, we would greatly appreciate your assistance. So again, those QR codes, the one QR code will take you to the form to sign up. The other QR code will take you to that signup.com site. And I'm just going to quickly show you that site and how it works. When you go to the site, Panhandle Manatee volunteer schedule, a little bit of information, and then you can either select a particular date, or you can just scroll down and look, and for each shift, it will say the time, how many volunteers we're looking for, and we get within 2 or 3 weeks of each date, then the actual site name will be filled in. There will be one site captain or intern at each site, and then 2 to 3 volunteers. Like we did last year for boat ramps, it's going to be 2 shifts from 8 until 11 or 10:30 until 1, unless you'd like to do the full 5 hours. Sundays, we're just doing 1 shift from 10 to 1. We're going to start a little bit later. Fishing piers, we're also going to start out trying that on Sunday mornings from 10 to 1. And the community outreach that we're doing and talking to water related businesses, property managers, that's going to be mostly on weekdays at variable times. Look for shifts on the schedule, or send an email to panhandlemanatee.org@gmail.com and let us know when you're interested in doing it. Again, these other resources, I'm going to post that in the description of the YouTube video. So you can go look at those and access those. And I just want to thank you guys again for your continued participation in the program. We couldn't do it without you, and are so happy that you are back to help us. So thanks very much, and look forward to seeing you out there. Thanks. Bye.